All right, all right. Here we go. Episode 23 of Hitting the Road. Excited today to have an up and comer, man, an up and coming country artist, man. He's crushing it right now. Things are going the right way, man. Things are bending right for you, man. So we got Travis Bolt. Travis, how you doing, man?
Doing good. How are you, man?
Dude, I'm good. Travis, dude, your name is just. I mean, I'm sure you people tell you this all the time, man. I mean, what a rad last name. I mean, I mean, when you, it's almost like when you came into this world, man, you were already a leg up on the rest of us.
Yeah, everyone always thinks it's fake, like I made it up. I was like, no, my mom and daddy gave it to me, and I got lucky with the last name there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, man, I'm excited to get to know you a little bit better. Excited to hear your story. It's an interesting one to me, man, because it's influenced so much of your. I mean, like a lot of people, but specific to you, it's influenced a lot of your art, I just want to, kind of the flow we'll take, man, is I really want to know a lot about because you're kind of an East Texas guy ish. You're kind of
Yeah.
southeast, you're from Maybank, Texas. For those that don't know, a little bit southeast of Dallas. Not really the Metroplex, but not the Metroplex. But
Oh no, out in the country.
you're out in the country though, yeah, man. And so you said that you got a little spread out there, yeah?
Oh yeah, I got a little 10-acre spot. My grandparents actually left me, and
Oh, man.
I'm right down the back road from my parents' house, so I go down there and I don't go shopping anymore because I'm always on a plane, so I'll go down there at midnight and raid the kitchen.
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely, man. Well, listen, yeah, it's good to have my folks were close to me for a good while, so it's good to have your folks close. But
Oh,
I kind
absolutely.
of, I want to know, man, a little bit because I heard in another maybe something you did on Instagram or something you did somewhere else where you described your kid, yourself as a kid at 14-year-old. I want to say you described yourself, and man, don't punch me if I'm wrong, as a fat kid with a tuba. Is that kind of the way you
Oh
saw
no,
yourself?
yeah, that was me.
Okay, okay. I mean, were you a band guy? What was your background?
Well, it was funny actually how that worked. My dad bought me a drum set. I wanted to be a drummer actually when I was a kid. So whenever middle school came along and we could get into the band finally in sixth grade, I believe, I went into the little tryouts. They put you in a room with all the instruments, and boy, they saw me coming from a mile away. I wanted to play the drums, and they handed me a
Yeah,
tuba and said, "There you go, big boy."
yeah. Yeah, man. Dude, you know what's funny is so I think when I was in the sixth grade, man, they give you that test where they kind of put the earphones on you and they want to know, kind of what your musical, kind of acumen is at a young age. And dude, I flunked that little test so bad and it hurt me, dude, because I wanted to be a band geek so bad and they kicked me
Yeah.
out, man, before I even got started. But so they threw a tuba at you and you just got to going.
Oh, I went with it, man. I made it mine. I can't read music at
Yeah.
all, guitar, piano, anything. I just kind of learned by ear. But if you put a tuba in front of me with the sheet music, I could probably still do it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, so it sounds like, you mentioned, your parents, sounds like they were really supportive of kind of the journey you've been on.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I know that, you've kind of talked in other interviews about how your dad is kind of your guy, man. He's kind of your dude. I mean, can you kind of tell me really when you started kind of just thinking about like, music and really writing songs and really your dad's influence at those younger years?
Well, so when I was coming up at a young age, like my parents had bought me a little, believe it was a Les Paul Lotus, little youth model electric guitar, probably about
Yeah.
2.5, 3 foot long. Anyway, so I was picking around on that, and my dad, real good friends with Larry Joe Taylor,
Okay.
uh, the Larry Joe
Yeah.
Taylor Fest over in
Yeah.
Stephenville. I'm sure you've heard of it.
Stephenville, Texas. Yeah, man.
Oh yeah. So he would cook backstage for all the artists and things like that. He built a 20-foot smoker, dual axle
Wow.
smoker, and he'd go out there and cook all kinds of stuff. So I was always at the music festival backstage as a kid, every year, and so I was around music my whole life is the point I'm trying to get to. And my
Sure.
parents were very influential in that. And I was blessed to be able to be around that because it really kick-started my want to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, and so you mentioned your dad, I mean, he had the smoker, he had the whole thing. I mean, dude, listen, I could pivot and we could go a crazy way, but I mean, are you a barbecue guy? You a Texas barbecue guy at all?
I am. Yeah, I'm not as good as my dad,
Yeah.
but he's taught me how to smoke a brisket and stuff, so I can hold my own with him.
Yeah, man. Well, there's a place out in Maybank. I've never been. I think is it B4 barbecue? Have you ever been out that way?
I think I've passed it. I believe
Yeah.
that might be the one in the feed store there. Yeah.
Dude, you know you're in the country when you say it's out in the feed store. Yeah, man. Well, dude, it's the reason I bring if listen, if you're back home, because I know you're in Nashville now, but and we'll talk about, kind of what you're doing in Nashville, but when you get back to Texas, I saw that it was on the Texas Monthly top, 50 list or whatever, man. So if you get a chance, man, hit him up. But so man, so you're hanging with your dad. You've got the influence there with Larry Joe Taylor, man. Like what's like tell me kind of how that impacts you and like, man, are you starstruck? Are you like, man, this is kind of my lane?
Yeah, I mean, so just kind of going back to the Larry Joe Taylor thing, like I said, I was there for years, get to see everything. Kind of that's what started teaching me how things worked in the music industry a little bit. As a kid, it obviously gets a lot more confusing and you have to pivot quite a bit once you get into the thick of it. But that really gave me my jump start on it. I'm still very good friends with those guys. I still try to make the festivals when I can. I actually played it last year.
Yeah.
I did one of I think it was the Bud Light acoustic stage. They might call it something different now. So don't quote me on the name of the stage, but, and they all still keep up with me. The Texas boys came to Nashville to get my foot in the door. And, we're just moving right along, doing the
Yeah,
thing.
man. Well, so because here's the thing too, like you're again East Texas, and man, you may or may not, you probably know this, but like the farther east you get, man, like Tyler and Golden and all that kind of stuff, man, like you're kind of into fiddle country a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
Tiny Woods, yeah.
yeah, and so there's, bluegrass is not really big in Texas necessarily, but like, wait, I think I saw somewhere you've got a little bit of a bluegrass kind of influence along the
Oh,
way.
yeah.
Like, kind of what was that about?
So my grandma and grandpa actually, when I got my first guitar, my first acoustic that I could actually drag around places, and I was probably, once again, don't quote me on this, but maybe 13 years old.
All right.
And my grandparents would take me a little deeper into East Texas to a little town called Quitman, and it was the Carroll Green Civic Center, and they had a bluegrass like kind of revival concert on every other Saturday night or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's been so long now I can't remember, but they'd have the concert in one room, and then in the back I found out pretty quick there was a room and just a bunch of the old men would sitting around in a circle and jam. They weren't part of the
Jam, yeah.
concert; they just kind of played. So I'd sneak off and go back there and sit with those guys, and that's
Yeah.
kind of where I learned some of my picking.
Yeah.
And so now my music, I still do the bluegrass picking. I can flat pick,
Yeah.
and then I got into the blues, and I started blending the bluegrass with the
Yeah.
blues, and then I got into my songwriting, and then rock and roll. So like my music's just a big mix
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the stuff I'm influenced by. So it's one of them things.
Yeah, man. Well, because I think in listening to you, listening to your stuff, and before we kind of get too far down the road, listening to your stuff, man, it was just like, you don't have that. I would say you don't have that like Texas country red dirt sound at all. Like you're something completely different, right? And I know a lot of people described it as, kind of that outlaw country for sure. And I guess my curiosity too, man, because and I know you've been open to talk about it. And it sounds like it's something that's a platform for you, but you talked about like even your younger years, you've had, to kind of, navigate with Tourette's syndrome. Is that accurate too?
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And tell me about like when did you know you were diagnosed and how was life with that?
I can't remember exactly when. I know I was a kid. I was pretty young. I was going to the pediatric neurologist, so I had to been under a certain age. But they might have not have known a lot about it back then, and I could be wrong on that. But I remember I was on a lot of the experimental
Oh man.
medications. I was in a couple of trials.
Yeah.
I like the placebo trials where you might get it, you might not type thing. And I got paid for that. And we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, I mean, Tourette's, man, it hasn't held me back. I mean, when I was a kid, it was rough because kids are mean. You're
Yeah,
in
sure.
school. I was obviously fat and played the tuba, so that was already going for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, yeah, and then having the Tourette's. So I was the fun, easy pick, to get picked on. But
Oh man.
as I got older, it was just like, man, you know what? It could be worse. This
Sure.
isn't that big of a deal. And it really doesn't bother me at all
Sure.
anymore. It's more of an annoyance,
Sure.
than anything. But when I'm playing music, it actually stops or slows down.
Yeah.
Um, which might have been what pushed me too. I found the medicine that worked. As cliche as that sounds, music actually slows it down for me. And I don't know
Yeah.
if it's because your brain's so busy with remembering words, guitar, all this stuff, but yeah, it helps.
Yeah, man. Well, you mentioned just now, you said, it doesn't bother me, and it's the funny thing is it's whenever, because I think some of us all have something to deal with, right? Some
Right.
and the crazy thing is like, it sometimes it bothers other people more than it bothers us, and I don't know if you saw or were a fan, even because I know he was a little ahead of you, man, but John Candy, just there was a documentary on John Candy, man, actor, comedian, man, just brilliant, brilliant. But anyway, he was a bigger guy, and like there were all these interviews where people would ask him like what it was, what it was like. Does it bother you to be heavy? And he's like, well, it must bother you because you keep asking me the question, And it's like
Right.
it's funny how like our and forgive the crudeness here, but our own ticks sometimes mess with other people more than they mess with us.
Yeah, I mean that's, I've kind of made I make light of mine, obviously, because I feel like that's what, I learned to do that as a kid, when people would give me grief about it.
Yeah,
I would just go along with it until it wasn't fun for them no more. And I kind of went into, once you get into your adult years, I mean, people don't, unless they're just a terrible person, they're not going to give you, grief about it.
sure.
But it's fun at my shows because, a lot of people don't know that I have Tourette's. And, my song, Never Tried Cocaine, I'll play that.
Yeah.
And I always tell the joke like, now I know some of y'all are out there looking at me right now thinking I just did some in the bathroom. I swear I
Yeah.
didn't,
Yeah.
I can't help this.
Yeah. No, totally. Well, man, yeah, because and we won't hang out here too long. But you mentioned you got paid for it. Like what is that? What is that? Who's paying you?
Yeah, well, so like so for the trials,
Yeah.
yeah, so the hospital or like for the trial, whoever was running the trial actually
Yeah.
wrote a check out to me and I was, like I said 12, 13, 14. And it was a couple of grand,
Oh
but
wow.
it was mine. So I
Yeah.
went and bought like a Xbox, and then I went and bought a Washburn hollow body electric guitar. A
Yeah.
couple of grand as a 12-year-old, you're rich.
You're
You're trying to
rolling.
buy a
Yeah.
house.
Yeah. You're
So
rolling.
yeah, so I bought a hollow body electric Washburn, and that's what I was taking to the the bluegrass stuff.
Okay, gotcha, man, gotcha. And so, man, so like, here we go. I want to kind of fast forward and bring it into, kind of a little bit more kind of current. But like, so were you when you were gigging around Texas, like, what was that? Where were you going? Were you doing the entire like Texas circuit? Where was it regional? Like, where were you gigging?
Man, I was going anywhere I could. I booked my own shows for upwards of 13 years.
Yeah,
I as soon as I was able to drive, I mean, I was on the road. I played a lot. Obviously, I started small in East Texas, and then you start building the brand.
yeah,
I started playing more places. Then someone would ask, "Hey, can you come to San Marcos?" So, I just went all around Texas. Got into Oklahoma a little bit,
yeah.
Arkansas, but mostly Texas. Yeah, I mean, within 300 or 400 miles. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so have you, because obviously you're, a lot of the buzz you're gonna or that you're getting and you're gonna probably continue to get are Nashville, kind of buzz, right? And that's kind of that's a different animal, in and of itself, So it's like
Oh
I've
yeah.
talked to artists here lately, man, that they found a way to kind of find that balance between what they consider to be home and when Nashville needs them. Like, do you see yourself as a guy, man, that like when as you continue to kind of grow, are you going to like kind of stay rooted in Texas and try to kind of flip flop back and forth?
Oh, I mean, my roots will always be in Texas. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm there a lot, and then I come up here for about a week or two, and stay busy, work, do what I need to do up here. But
yeah,
no matter where I go, how big I get, home's going to be,
yeah.
Texas for me.
Yeah, it's man, and I know it's almost cliche now, but the famous John Riggins, man, from Friday Night Lights, man, he's just Texas forever, So all that to say, Texas is an amazing place, dude. So for anybody that doesn't know that already, but let me just let me ask you too, man. So you've had this now. I mean, I would consider it to be viral success, where I mean you just I mean really because I mean really TikTok has been something that's been amazing for you too. But you mentioned like never tried cocaine. Man, tell me kind of what was your frame of mind when you wrote that song, and did you know that it was gonna just pop off? Like, man, did you feel like I got a winner here?
It didn't start that way. So I was going through a divorce, and I was just having a rough time with it, obviously, as anyone would. And I kind of went on a little bender, not anything off the wall, but I was drinking a little bit, and I actually talked to a buddy of mine, Ty Joyner. We were sitting in his camper in Edgewood, Texas, and we were sitting there talking, and he said something that stuck with me. He goes, "Well, I mean, at least you ain't never tried anything crazy. You
Mhm.
didn't get
Yeah.
too far gone." And I said, "Yeah, I ain't never tried cocaine or something like that."
Yeah.
We kind of looked at each other, and we just started writing that. And then I got with another friend at the time out in East Texas, and we kind of just brewed this thing into a song.
So man, when you put something out and it goes completely viral, does your phone start ringing? Like who's calling you at that point?
How so?
Well, yeah, I mean, do you have labels calling you? Do you have like managers that you didn't even know exist calling you? Like, I mean, like,
Oh yeah, yeah. As soon as it went viral, man, and that was like an overnight thing. I just looked at my phone and it had so many, so you know, I was getting a lot of Instagram messages, calls. Didn't know how people got my email. It's just stuff like that.
yeah,
And my guys now, it's kind of funny. We have this little running joke with Gravel Road and Anthony Martini, my manager. I mean, these guys are family now. And
yeah.
whenever we met on Instagram, he was messaging me for like 6 months, and I was
Oh
leaving him
wow.
on red because I was worried about even coming up here.
Yeah.
And I finally got to sit down and meet everyone, meet Anthony, meet the whole team, and I mean, it's family.
Sure. Well, and man, because we work with a lot of touring artists and things like that, and they're always trying to build out their team, right? And just like the people they feel like they can trust, and like you mentioned, Gravel Road, they come along, and I'm sure you had other people maybe chasing you down a little bit too,
Oh
but
yeah.
but how did you feel like because and it seems like you're somebody that from what I've read and seen in some other stuff, you weren't just necessarily like pro industry guy. And so like when Gravel Road comes along, how did they kind of convince you, or did they convince you that like, hey man, this is the right fit for you and you are home, we are your family. Like what have they done to kind of embrace you?
Right. And it did take a little work on their end to make me comfortable, like enough to come up here. And I was never, I didn't want to get tied up with suits. I'm an artist. I wanted to write and record and run around and play. So, he messaged me quite a bit, and I'd be like, I don't know, and I'd kind of leave him on red and things. Well, finally he texted me one more time. I was at the gym. I remember the day I was on the elliptical at the gym, and he messaged me and said, "Hey man, let's just jump on a call. I'd really like to talk to you. I really believe in what you're doing." So I said,
Wow.
"Okay." So I jump on a call. We talked for about an hour and a half, and I mean, that next week I was on a plane up here to meet him. I said I wanted to shake his hand and talk to him. And I mean, it was on ever since. Him and the team really, you know, took me in. They knew my feelings on the whole ordeal, and they really made me feel comfortable and showed me what they could do. And
Yeah.
we've been working ever since, and I love it.
Yeah, man. Well, because and you'd mentioned even like, you were booking in your own shows. I mean, for all intents and purposes, man, you were representing yourself, every which way up until,
Yeah,
the gravel road comes along. And
I
so
mean
like
that's what paid the bills.
yeah, exactly. You got to eat, right? So it's like,
That's right.
so in all that, man, like they're able to take some of this heavy lifting and just let you be an artist, man, which I'm sure has freed you up just to do so much, right? So dude, that's incredible. And so let me ask you this too, man, because like you've got a single, and this one was the one I really wanted to spend some time on, man. But coming home, man, there's a story there. I don't want to spoil it, and 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 then I'll go ahead and speak to it after you kind of just tell us about it.
Yeah, so coming home, not to get too deep into it, like you said, but like I said, I'm divorced, and probably about 5 years now. I stopped keeping track of how long it's been at this point, but maybe about a year and a half ago, my ex came to my house like 2 in the morning. She had a friend with her, and I walked outside. I was like, "What's going on?" And so I talked to her for a little bit just to see what was going on, and she wanted to know if I hated her or not. And I said, "No, I ain't never hated you." I
Yeah.
said, "I married you." I don't think I could ever hate you. I said I was sad when you left. I got depressed. Then I got angry about it. And then I just became indifferent. I got on with life and I
Yeah,
chased my dreams on my own,
yeah,
And, and after waiting around for about a year after she left, seeing if she'd come back, I didn't know. You never know. But I remember sitting there thinking, like, this ain't how I thought she'd be coming back over here.
yeah,
So whenever she left, I walked in and started writing "Coming Home,"
sure.
and the tagline in the song, which I'm sure some people watching right now have already kind of listened to it. It's been out for a little bit now. It's "This ain't how I thought you'd be coming home," and it wasn't.
Yeah,
So the song just tells the story about the day she left up until she came back, and then closure.
sure. So was that when she came around, man, was that I mean, was there a window open at that point to like, hey, maybe there's a chance we can, I mean, like you said, years had gone by. I mean, had you already moved on, or was there that little part of you that maybe would always love her that's like, hey, there's an opportunity here for us to maybe talk it through, or like where were you then?
Well, I mean, there's always going to be that, man. Like, I mean, if you love somebody that hard, you never don't love them. I definitely got on with life, and there was not a window
Yeah,
anymore. And
yeah,
I still, to this day, I'm not completely sure why she even came over. I didn't know where her head was
yeah,
uh, in it. She might have not been coming over to try to rekindle things. I have no idea. Maybe she needed her own closure about why she left. There,
yeah.
you never know. Right. But no, I mean, there wasn't a window. I was excited to get back into my house and lock the door,
Ooh, yeah.
if anything, but and
Yeah,
just finish my David Attenborough documentary that I was probably watching. But,
yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Man,
I mean, no, yeah.
yeah, it's man, and some years ago, man, I had somebody that I cared about. I mean, I'm married now, been married for 11 years, but before that, I had someone that had come around and we'd been together for a couple years and man, there was that moment where, we just kind of had, are we going to revisit this or whatever? And when, like you said, when I shut the door, I was like, man, I'm really glad that season of my life is maybe that chapter is maybe closed because I've moved on in my heart, right? And
Yeah.
for you to be able to capture that and put it in a song, man, I felt like it was really I just felt like it was well written and I felt like you articulated
Thank you.
it so well, man.
Yeah, it was actually a tough one to do. We've got the stories in the studio of me having to sing that 6 or 7 times because I kept messing it up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah.
it's an emotional song. And the video was even harder to do because I had to, in order to make that song into a picture, I had to relive all of that one more time, and like to make the video very accurate, right?
Sure.
So, the dreams ahead of the video, the dreams after, it was terrible, but everything's good, and that me being okay with it
Yeah.
just solidifies the fact that I've moved on, and it's a
Yeah.
turmoil part of my life, but it's history.
Yeah, man. It's in the past. Well, thank you for being open about it, man. And
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, and you've got another song, man, that and you put out, Back Road Gospel, man. I want to talk about this because you've spoken into this a little bit, right? Um, so I come from a family, man, where everybody, I'm from Texas. My family, they're in church every Sunday, right? The whole thing, right? And my dad was an elder, and my brother's a preacher, and I mean, in Texas, man, church is what you do. I think you've talked about it. Church is what you do.
Yeah.
But you kind of talk a little bit more about and this, I don't, here's the vibe I got from you, man. I don't think that you're necessarily like anti-church. I don't get that at all.
Oh no.
I think what you were kind of speaking into, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, is really kind of that inward walk with God that you experience wherever you go. Could you kind of just like speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, I was in church as a kid,
Yeah,
every Sunday, whether I was
yeah,
with my grandparents or I was with my parents, I went. And I've always had a relationship with God, and I still do. It just changes over time, right? So whenever I started playing music real heavy, got a little older, I wasn't trying to wake up and go to church, obviously, being a
sure.
teenager, falling asleep in the pew, we're
Yeah,
all guilty of that
totally.
at
Yeah,
least one time. But as I started gigging, right? So you're out until, you have a gig on
yeah,
Saturday night, you're
yeah,
up until 4 in the morning on Sunday, so I before every show and after every show, I'm praying, I'm talking to God like he's a buddy, right? I'm not sitting there doing this and on my
Sure.
knees, but I'm like, hey man, like we got this show, I need you with me, all this stuff. So my relationship with God is a little different. I'll drive on a back road and talk to him if I need to get in my head and like talk about it. Whether I'm on my Harley with my buddies or if I'm in my car doing whatever. So
Yeah.
the song really touches on, you don't have to be in church to be talking to God, to have that relationship. I
Yeah.
might hit a back road.
Yeah.
So that's my back road gospel,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, that's well put, man. And yeah, it's I think we could all benefit from just having those open dialogues wherever we are, wherever we go.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so yeah, man. And so
I mean, I
what
couldn't do anything I'm doing without him. I can tell you that right now.
yeah, no, I love that, man. And so let me ask you because like 2025 has been seemingly a big year for you, man. I mean, you've had some some success obviously where I think on a national scene it looks like people are starting to kind of latch on to certainly whether it's Spotify or I mean, you got million dude, that's no small thing, millions of streams, man. I mean, does
Oh,
that
it's
boggle your
exciting.
mind when you think millions of streams? I mean, does that boggle the mind? I mean,
It does, man. Even when we, like when we'll put out a press release or anything, and I see the numbers on there. Like I've already been told, I know where we're at, but when I see it written down, I'm like, man,
yeah,
what is happening right now? I mean, the people, my fans, and everybody that hears the music really, they do latch onto those songs because they're stories that people can relate to. I feel like that's what gave them that viral sense about them,
sure.
was that they're very relatable topics.
No, I agreed. Totally agreed. And man, so because I think if people go looking for you on Spotify, they're going to see probably a sample size, and they're going to get and dude, let me tell you, before I jumped in and kind of got to know your music a little bit better, I was really, and it was a pleasant surprise. I mean, your voice, dude, is like it's pretty insane. And when I say gnarly, man, I mean I mean it in a good way. It's like it's just you've got a unique, I mean, it's really hard to separate. There's so many good vocalists out there, man. It's hard to separate yourself, man, but you're very distinct, man. And I think that anybody that listens to you will understand that and I think they'll appreciate that too, you know. Um and let me ask you, man. So like, again, you've had a big 2025. Tell me about 2026, man, because it sounds like you might have new music coming. I mean, obviously you got
Yeah.
Gravel Road behind you. What is 2026? Are you going to tour? What's up?
Yeah. So, we got the new album coming out, top of the year coming up, the very, very beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Uh, then we're going to be on the road. It's tour season, baby. We're going to
Yeah.
get this album out, and a lot of people are waiting on it. We're dropping a few songs here and there,
Yeah.
getting the buzz up, right? And then the
Smart.
full
Yeah.
album's going to drop, and it's going to be on the road time, in the air, wherever we're going to
Yeah.
be. We'll probably be over in Europe a little bit. We'll
Oh, man.
be in Nash. We'll be in the U.S. We'll be doing all of it. So
Yeah.
try to bring all the new music to everybody, man.
Well, I love that. So a couple questions, man. Like number one, like who are you riding with Nashville riders for this record? Are you riding for with Texas riders or a mix of both? Like kind of who are you sitting with to kind of frame out these songs?
It's kind of a mix of both. Group writing was new to me when I got to Nashville. Uh, and it was kind of a learning experience, but then I started getting with some of these just awesome writers, man. And we get into a room, one or two of us, two or three of us, and we'd sit there. So the album's got uh, Nashville writers on it. It's got some LA guys on it.
Okay,
It's got
wow.
some Texas guys on it. Yeah, it's just a big blend, but they're all the stories.
Man, so let me ask you, and I appreciate you so much taking the time, man. And
Oh,
but
thank you for having me.
yeah, of course, man. And so before I let you go, you mentioned just kind of that diversity in your songwriting. Man, for those that maybe don't understand it, in your experience, what's the difference between an LA writer and maybe a Nashville writer? What's kind of been your experience there?
I really, there's not a huge difference. I think more about it is, maybe the location gives them a different vibe. It's more experiences, man. I mean, everyone's got a different songwriting style. I have found that out.
Yeah,
I'm more folky and more focused on trying to be super lyrical when sometimes it needs to be a little more,
sure.
simplified, right? Uh, and then you get in a room with a guy maybe from LA or Nashville. I mean, I don't really think it matters, but uh, they can take your line that you've
Oh yeah.
just, it looks like a mathematical equation, right? And they
Yeah.
can bring it down to a level that's like, oh, okay, we're
Yeah.
saying the same thing. It fits better in there. And, when I started writing, I wanted to write by myself. I wanted my own songs. And then you start writing with people and you realize you can get a better product when you have more minds thinking on it, right? So
Absolutely,
I don't know,
man.
it's fun.
Absolutely, man. Well, I'm excited, man, to hear this because I mean, 2026, it's almost here, man. So I mean,
It's
so
right around the corner.
it's coming up, man. So are you? Is it going to be early 2026?
Yes.
Okay, because I think I saw something about maybe January. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's January. I can't remember the exact date, which is probably my job to know. But but yeah, early January is when we're going to drop the entire album, and we're very excited about it over here. I know I am.
Man, well, you gotta let us hear it, man. Travis Bolt, again, your name rules, dude.
Thank you, brother.
we're pulling for you in 2026, man. If you need
Thank
anything,
you.
let us know, dude. Thanks so much for hitting the road with us, man.
Hey, man, absolutely. We'll see you next time.
Yes, sir.